Hey guys, welcome to TGS. Today I am sat with the Simon Reinhold.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well. Yeah, not too bad.
Good, you look really fresh.
That's surprising after dinner last night, but you know, we soldier on.
We will persevere. Today we're going to look through your guns.
Yeah, this is going to be a trawl through. It's like somebody going through your wardrobe, really, isn't it? But yeah, a quick gallop through what lurks in my cabinet, different tools for different jobs, and quite a bit of sentimental value.
And it's a very different selection to your average man
Well, I don't know.
in 2022.
I think if you went through everybody's gun cabinet, you find some things of interest and then some things that are probably quite personal to them. So this is my selection.
Let's start.
Let's do it. This is my very first gun. This was a present from my grandpa when I was 14. And it is a 16-bore box-lock non-ejector made by Bayard. It's not flash in any way, shape or form, but it has a certain elements of quality about it which I think are quite endearing. The first thing you possibly notice is the milled rib that goes across there. You can't find those these days. The machines that mill these ribs do not exist in UK gun making anymore. So, I mean, this obviously is Belgian, but no one makes ribs like that these days. It's such a shame because it's a beautiful thing to look down. It really is.
It's a very, very nice thing. Do you find that's like a tram line leads your eye?
Almost, yeah. Yeah.
So it's quite a raised rib, isn't it?
It is quite high. It is continental in many ways with the cheek piece there. But it's a solidly made gun. It's got a treble grip action.
That's very nice how that locks in and out.
Yeah, it's just a nice piece of engineering, the way that top lever brings that back. It's a lovely thing. It's got side clips, strength, and it's a wonderful thing to shoot.
Yeah, and inherently worthless because it's a Belgian gun made by Bayard.
It's worthless, but it's priceless to me. So
see, it always shocks me. I sold my first gun when I was in my 20s because I was an idiot, and I regret that.
Yeah, that's never leaving me. That is huge sentimental value to me. I shot my first of everything on the UK quarry species list with this gun, except for grouse.
It's very
Did not
special.
shoot my first grouse with this, but a first 100 bag of pigeons was shot with this. First left and right partridges, first English partridges, first left and right duck, first pheasant, and I was...
It's very special.
Yeah, it's got huge sentimental value. And just another interesting bit which we haven't mentioned, cocking indicators, little dogs there.
That's lovely.
Just, recess down as soon as you pull the trigger. It's got problems. It's got a crack through the hand. It's always been cracked through the hand. It's never travelled, that crack. But the semi-pistol grip it just fits in the hand beautifully. The left barrel's choked at 5/8, and that is an effective barrel. That really is. And the other thing, and I only discovered this about 3 years ago. My grandpa died, must be 20 years ago now. Going through a box of things, I found his hunting license from India.
That's
in his
very
days in the
special.
army, because he shot ducks with this in India. The family rumour was always that he confiscated this off a Nazi officer during the war.
Yeah, it's a good rumour.
It's a lovely rumour until you find his Indian hunting licence, which shows quite clearly that Captain H.G. Bennett either sold it or gave it to him. So H.G. Bennett may have confiscated off a Nazi officer during the war, but my grandpa didn't.
What's the date on the H.G. Bennett giving?
1947.
Have you ever thought that he just lent it to Bennett for a couple of years?
He might have done, I suppose, yeah.
I don't doubt grandfather's stories.
Yeah.
I feel like, given the spurious stories that are on some other guns, it's totally believable.
Yeah.
You've lent guns to people,
Yeah.
and you get them back sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. But just post-war in India, that's what he used.
That is an epic thing.
I haven't shot it in years.
You had it when you were 14?
Yeah.
And you had it up until...
That was my regular game gun for up until I was 18, probably. Yeah, 18. When we move on to the one next to you.
Okay, so this was your second gun, actually.
Yes, I think so. I think it probably was. I've had a lot. There's stuff that hasn't made it into my hasn't stayed in my cabinet. But
The AOA number 4 we discussed
exactly.
in the last video.
Yeah, but this one did. This one did.
So, you never owned an over and under at this point?
I had a Beretta where in my 20s, but yeah, this is 14 to 18 for me. So this probably 19 actually. This is my first ever restoration project. I bought this as a wreck from a guy who said, get what you can or cut it up. And it was covered in congealed oil and paint, and it was in a pretty poor state of repair. The barrels were virtually see-through, they were so thin.
Wow.
It's a 16 bore by Thomas Wilde of Whittle Street in Birmingham, but it is a true 16 bore slim lock plate, and it is...
It's very elegant.
It's a very elegant looking thing. It's got faceted C-scroll hammers here.
They are beautiful
They are
things.
stunning. And the first thing I cleaned was the trigger guard. And there's two little hunting dogs just appeared under all of that oil and congealed muck from however many hundreds of, 100
So you
years.
restored this yourself?
I didn't know. I didn't have a huge amount of money. It's the lowest form of life in Holts operation when I was 19. So I saved.
And long may it stay that way.
Absolutely, quite right too. Yes. It's not the world's best sleeving job. I had the barrel sleeved to 30 inches and improved in quarter choke.
See, that is
and a 2 3/4 inch chamber.
that you got that gun sleeved.
Yeah.
At a time when sleeving was...
deeply out of fashion.
Oh, and expensive.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I asked what sort of ballpark money it cost?
£750.
That was cheap as chips.
It was it's all I could afford, and that was pretty much all of my savings gone.
Yeah, I mean, £750 for a sleeving job,
Yeah.
however
So,
terrible, is
but-
really good.
But what happened is, with that sleeving job came extra weight in the barrels, which actually either I've got accustomed to this, or I prefer it. A little bit of weight in the barrels is a good thing for me. And that has been my competition clay gun for 15 years. I shot the British and European side-by-side championships with that and won the class on several occasions.
Just about.
And it's a lovely thing to use. It's been rejointed. I didn't have the money to re-engrave the cross pin, sadly, so that's never been done. But it got a wrecked gun back into working order, and I love it.
Yeah,
Again, huge sentimental value.
For what, 1,000, 1,500 quid for all of that work is...
Yeah, and it's a pretty thing.
It's lovely.
It's not worth that. I mean,
It doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. It's worth a huge amount to me.
Yeah,
And that's the point.
It's the built not bought thing that the car boys love.
Yeah,
That you are so attached to the story,
yeah,
and it doesn't matter that you've spent money because you get way more enjoyment by having that thing that you created.
yeah.
And it's not... I mean, it's nice.
It is.
It doesn't. You
It's a
don't
pretty
need
thing.
to have it
It's not perfect.
engraved.
Yeah.
And you don't need to have the best sleeving job.
No, you don't. You
You
just
clearly
got
shoot it.
to have a bit of passion for these things, and it's a cracking thing. Absolutely cracking thing to shoot. So having put down the Bayard, I picked up the Wild, and that was my game gun.
In a 16 bore.
In a 16 bore. And that was ounce load of sixes out of that was
For 15 years. more
pretty
or less.
awesome, actually. It could do a lot of things with that.
Any particularly memorable moments, apart from obviously breaking some clays?
It's just all of those days in the field. They're hard to, invidious to just pick one, but just...
The entire career is the highlight.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I cut my teeth shooting. These two guns taught me an awful lot about game shooting in the UK. This is what I used.
Yeah,
So-
to your kids one day. I have to break
yeah.
that one to you.
Yeah, well, I have two boys, and they are showing signs of interest. And in fact, on that subject, we can show you the one that I've just bought for them.
Yeah. So before we look at this, Simon, how much of the Bayard influenced your decision to come and work in the gun trade?
I don't think it had any influence on that. I think I was always interested and passionate about shooting. That happened to be the gun that I started with. So I don't think it had a direct impact on a career choice. I've always been, all I wanted to do as a child was to be out in a hedgerow, trying to,
Yeah, so you
chase
thought,
things
yeah,
down,
I'm going to go and sit in
put
a
things
dark
on the
room
table. Yeah.
with loads of guns.
Yeah.
Very similar to a hedgerow.
Well, yeah, but being around guns and having the
it's pretty good.
enthusiasm and the passion for them, that is what I was interested in, and I hope my children are going to have the same thing. They're showing signs of that they want to. I'm not going to push them, but I suppose part of me bought this, the newest acquisition, a 28 bore by John Blanche of London. It is, yeah. I say I bought it for my children. Yeah, Daddy wants to have a go with it as well, and it is a lovely little
It is
thing
a
to shoot.
beautiful
It's a cracking
little thing,
to
isn't it?
shoot. Yeah, sold to me by a friend of mine who actually said, I think this would be good for your children, which is very kind of him to think of me.
Yeah.
Again, sleeve gun. Nothing wrong with it. This is a very good sleeving job. This is really, you can't really tell that it has been sleeved except for the extra weight in the barrels. You have to actually look at the proof marks where it says sleeved on the flats.
Sleeving pretty much always adds weight.
It does, yeah. But again, not necessarily a bad thing. As we move towards steel shot, controlling muzzle flip,
heavier loads and all that
controlling
kind of thing.
recoil, these are good things. You know, you don't want to put punchy cartridges in through very, very light barrels. It's not a pleasant experience.
No.
And some people, I can remember seeing flinches so bad that people were actually pulling the trigger with their eyes closed at a clay ground, and it's because they're using 34 gram, 36 gram loads.
Through a 7-pound gun.
Yeah. So because it's the modern fashion, you don't need it.
No.
So yeah, this is the newest edition.
I think it's beautiful.
It's pretty. There's nothing outstanding about it other than it's retailed by. It's a Birmingham-made gun, retailed in London.
Yeah. And it's 28 ball.
But it's a little bit of colour on it.
Nice.
And it's just pretty. And yeah, no, the children are very enthusiastic to have something that
is theirs.
And it is historical as well. So, yeah. And one day they'll get a chance to shoot it when I put it down. So yeah, lovely little thing for them to get going on.
Beautiful. That's very nice. These are significantly more modern.
Oh yeah. These, okay, so we move from the sentimental to the workhorses of the gun cabinet. These are the working tools that I use. Let's start with the 525 laminate. I have talked about these before. I don't want an over and under to try and look elegant. I want it to be a tool for a job. This is a tool for banging out big loads of steel for the future. And it does it extremely well. And it's a very comfortable gun to shoot. There is something about this laminate stock that absorbs recoil, the extra weight, the density of it. It's just the most forgiving gun to shoot I have ever picked up that isn't a semi-auto.
And it is beautiful.
I think they're striking. Yeah, I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I bought it to do a job, and it does it very well.
Indeed.
I have to say, I swapped out the extended chokes it comes with and put the flush fitting ones in because it does alter the balance to where I want it to be. And I did take out the mid-rib bead as well because for me they're pointless. I'm not doing any trap shooting. So, but it's, funnily enough, I don't shoot clays with it. I shoot clays with side-by-sides. This is for a pigeon hide. This is for pest control. This is for big loads of steel.
Yeah, the hard work.
This is the hard-working gun, yeah. And its compatriot, also a hard-working gun, on the foreshore, although I do use it occasionally in the pigeon hide as well, is the Maxus. Not the Maxus 2, the Maxus 1.
Which is a great gun.
Fantastic gun.
I loved when they came out with that push button release. It was such a nice touch.
It is a nice touch. And interestingly, on the Maxus 2, they've got rid of it now, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've gone back to a twist cap. But there you are. That's what the market told them to do. This has been to the bottom of a creek when my kayak tipped up on the foreshore, and and it still went bang. After I checked it was clear and safe to use, I shot a widgeon with it, and a jet of salt water shot out the side. But I killed the widgeon.
Is there any reason for the Browning thing?
It's not an homage to Browning in any way, shape or form. I have owned pretty much every semi-auto that's ever been made.
Okay.
From Remington 1100s to Berettas to... And
Did you own a Hatsan?
I have, yes. Yeah, I bought a Hatsan, cheapie.
Everyone bought a Hatsan.
Everyone bought a Hatsan. But this is the one that stayed because it has never missed a beat, even in extreme duress of being thrown into salt water and out again. It was secondhand to me, and it's still going strong. I have actually, the bluing has worn badly on it, so I was toying with an idea of writing an article about Cerakoting. And a very nice chap called Mick at MW Guns said, I'll Cerakote that for you, and he's done a fantastic job.
It's a very nice job.
Yeah, and that is a hard-wearing finish that will...
It modernises it a touch.
Hard to rust, cleans it up.
And it's very reasonable to get done cost-wise as well. Like you can buy an old semi-auto for they don't hold value quite the same as over and unders and side-by-sides do. You can pick up a second-hand Maxus 2 for 350, 400 quid.
Yeah.
And then a Cerakote job's 200-ish.
Yeah.
For £600 you can have an amazing gun.
Yeah.
I said they're not that much more than that new off the top of my head.
No, they're not.
But you can.
Strong working gun.
A bit like you did with your fixer-upper. Do a bit of a fixie-uppy thing, and you build it as yours. It's your sentimental.
Yeah, I mean,
connection.
not everybody will go for the bronze bolt and black finish, but that's my choice because that's what Mick had on offer.
Yeah.
I said, "Can you do it? I like the look of them." He said, "Yeah, no problem."
Yeah, and
off we went.
Why not?
Exactly.
I like it.
It is a 26-inch version, which, having all of the rest of my guns are almost all 30-inch. The reason I got a 26-inch version is because of the extra length in the action. It's the same, roughly the same length.
More or less.
It pretty much handles very similarly to the other guns in the cabinet. So that's the only reason for that. And I did actually put the extended choke in this one as well. So that's the one that was originally in the 525, but it just makes it into a 27 and a bit inch gun. And it's killed a lot of stuff in a pigeon hide and on the foreshore, and I've had a lot of fun with this, and it's hardly ever failed to cycle.
For a workhorse semi, you don't want long barrels anyway, right?
No.
It's all about the shorter barrel in the pigeon hide because of that extra length
in
of the
and
action.
out of the truck, and as you're doing stuff on a shoot, that is, and it's a great gun. Very pleased with it. But not sentimental in any way, shape or form. They are designed for a job and they do them well, as long as the idiot behind the trigger points in the right place.
It's a very deliberate move to get guns that you're not going to get sentimental about as well.
Yeah. I can replace this tomorrow with another one, exactly the same, and it would, it would feel no different. I could replace this tomorrow. It would be a different paint job, but, I could alter that again.
Yeah.
No problem. They are instantly replaceable.
Yeah. And as such, you can use them harder than you would otherwise do.
Yeah. I don't mind scratching these because that's what they're going to get through the course of their working lives.
Not that you look to do it intentionally.
No. Of course not. No. But they are designed to get through a day.
It's like a teenager's sign of disrespect. Yeah, I'm going to smash this. It's a person. This is how little I respect over and unders.
Well,
Click.
no. Well, I mean, you'd do well to break that stock. I don't think you could.
We could ask Browning if they'll give us one. We could give it a try.
I don't think you'd manage it. You'd have to put some serious weight.
Stocks are pretty hard to break anyway.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
They are. There's a test to distraction for you.
Oof. Yeah. All right.
Let's move on.
You have more guns than I thought you'd have, Simon.
Okay. Is that surprising? Given that it's my passion and I work in the trade?
No, but you strike me as sort of person who's going, the whole beware of the one guy with one man, he can probably use it. You strike me as the sort of person who would live and die by that phrase.
No. I'm actually completely the opposite in that, for me, and I think I've said this before to you, it would be like eating the same meal for the rest of my life, only shooting one gun.
Oh, I stand by that.
You deny yourself the pleasure of using all kinds of different things for all kinds of different jobs, and they're horses for courses. They are different tools for different jobs.
And relinquishing the need to be at the best of your game.
Yeah, not
and
worrying,
enjoying.
But we've
shooting it.
Yeah, we've discussed this before. Is when you stop caring about being at the best of your game, you actually are less tense and you tend to shoot better. So.
This is a very large box lock.
Yeah, this is an E.M. Riley of London box lock non-ejector with 31-inch barrels, full choke in the left, true cylinder in the right, that we were using yesterday in a film that you'll be seeing shortly, I'm sure. And it's just a pretty gun, and it was very, very cheap. So they're undervalued in the modern market. But the thing I liked particularly was the scroll back action and the engraved hunting dog on the side of the action there.
It's a nice gun.
That's what sold it to me.
It's quite big and clunky, but it shoots very well.
It does, yeah. I mean, I like this for when I shoot in field trials, rough shooting up and down, pits, hedgerows. Good fun.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
But again, it's just, it was, I suppose, a disappointment that modern shooters have no interest in these, is why this one ended up in my cabinet, because I think they're undervalued grossly. But yeah, it's hand-built 1910 by E.M. Riley.
It's a very pretty thing. Hand-built, and you can pick them up for £200 odd is wild. Again, how many of the purchases you make are, now, something comes along at the right price and nobody else wants it. The sympathy purchases, if you will.
This was definitely a sympathy purchase. I joke on Instagram, this followed me home. Like a stray dog, so I kept it. This is probably one of the few sympathy purchases, if we can call it that. But it wasn't huge money, and it's fun to shoot, and it does actually fulfil a role.
Yes, you can tell yourself that. That's fine.
I'll tell myself that. Okay.
Yeah, you could never shoot walked up game with any of your other guns. They're totally inappropriate.
No, they're not totally inappropriate, but that's good on a cock day. Next one, also a box lock.
Let's open her up.
Let's open it up.
It's a lovely case.
I bought the case separately. This is Hardy Brothers, better known for their fishing tackle. And it was a gun on its own, it wasn't in the case. And then not long, about a year later, I was looking and looking and looking, and I had never seen a Hardy Brothers case, and this popped up. And again, no one else was interested. So I said,
sympathy purchased
that
it.
would probably fit my gun, and lo and behold, it does.
This is a bit nicer than the other.
It is, yeah. It's a more refined gun. This was built by G&S Holloway in Birmingham, who supplied box locks to a lot of the Northern English makers and a lot of the Scottish gun trade as well. And for regular viewers will know my passion for Scottish guns. It's a little loose, yeah, it needs a bit of work.
But it's a box lock ejector made by a good maker with a better name on it.
Yeah, and it's got a little bit of colour, and it's got a little bit of engraving, and it's got a nice piece of wood, and it fits me, and I shoot quite nicely with it. And
it's very similar in spec to this, or is that just first glance?
No, that is deliberate. This is how I like to see them.
Yes.
30-inch barrels, bit of choke.
30-inch heavy barrels.
Yep. I shot partridges next moor in September with this, quite happily.
Nice.
So, and it's a lovely thing, and it's just that, I suppose it is sympathy, but it's also the traceability of that company that still exists, of Hardy, House of Hardy as it's now known, specialising in high-end fishing gear for salmon. They started out as gun makers.
Or gun retailers.
No, they were making guns
they did make
as well.
guns originally.
This was in their retail era. This is 1910. But in the 1890s, they were guns.
I've seen some of their hammer guns, yeah.
But again, this, as I said, G&S Holloway, you can tell because of the H in front of the serial number, supplied it to them, they finished it and sold it.
It's a very nice thing.
It's a lovely thing to shoot.
And because it has an ejector, it's worth slightly more, but still
Under £500.
money.
Under £500.
It is mind-boggling.
Case and gun together, under £500.
It's pretty cool.
You know, that's hand-built.
Yeah.
In 1910 by guys who knew what they were doing.
And it's less than a cheap Turkish import gun.
Exactly. Why would you buy that when you can buy one of these?
Yeah.
And the barrels are thick enough to take standard steel, no problem.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Nice and strong.
It's interesting that all your guns sort of come in pairs. You've got your two first guns.
Yep.
Do you still shoot the 16 bore?
Occasionally, not very often.
Okay.
I took the Bayard out chasing woodcock with a friend of mine, just for fun, because I hadn't shot it for 20 years, and it was nice to
go and have
get
a
it
pop
out again.
Yeah. Still shoot it well?
It doesn't fit me like it. I'm a bit of a different body shape than when I was 14, and it's it took a bit of acclimatization.
You've got two box locks,
Yep.
two sort of workhorse side-by-sides of quality, and you've got two workhorse guns.
Yes.
And you've got two hammer guns.
Yes. So, as I said, regular viewers or people who read anything that I put on social media will know of my passion for Scottish guns because the quality is outstanding. It really is. And there are two examples here, both of which are unrestored, showing that. So, which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with this one.
Okay. So this is John Dixon of Edinburgh.
We know you like addiction.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, and sorry if I keep boring on about it, but the quality is just outstanding. As I say, this is unrestored. I'm umming and ahhing, and probably will be for about 10 years as to whether I do anything to it. But I actually, somebody said to me the other day, even if it's unrestored, it's only going to be in original condition once. And I thought, that actually just struck home. And it was a specialist in Scottish guns who told me that.
It's not going to get more beautiful if you fix it up.
No,
it is
I like
still
its
beautiful.
dents. I like its warts. I've had some of the dents taken out the barrels to make it shootable again, so it doesn't wear too much on the inside. It's got a few pits, but then it's
you need to get it to working.
2 years old.
152 years old is.
Yeah, this is August the 10th,
wonderful.
1870. This was collected by Lieutenant Colonel Sir James Gardner Baird because he appears in the records. He was a good customer of Dixon's, and he was a very interesting bloke. He got biffed out of the army. I think he was 10th Lancers, the most expensive regiment in the British Army at the time, and he had to retire injured from his regiment through a steeplechasing accident. Now, that's some boy, that is. So he went on to command yeomanry regiments and was ADC for the yeomanry regiments to Queen Victoria. And this was his gun. It's in the records as a pistol hand, as they called it in Edinburgh.
A pistol hand.
That little lip there on the, I don't know if you'll probably pick it up. when you come in for a close-up. That little lip is original, how Dixon's used to do it.
That is a really nice touch.
Yeah, the horn butt plate is original. So I have to shoot with a boot on the end to make it fit.
How common was pistol hand, putting a pistol grip on guns?
It was, in these days, this is bespoke gun making. The customer requested it, the gun maker built it. The stocker, went into action to carve it out and make it for the customer. I would have said, you'll have to talk to Dixons themselves, but probably 20%, maybe less.
Interesting.
Were pistol hands.
That's more than I thought.
Maybe it's less than that. Maybe it's only 10%. It doesn't appear that regularly in the records, having been through some of the records. But it's just a beautifully engraved and finished lock plate. Lovely opening action to it. It doesn't open too deeply, as a lot of later guns did from other makers. It needs tightening. That's going to be, but I did shoot it this season and had such a lovely time shooting pastures with this. It was just it's true cylinder in both because this was built before choke was invented.
That's pretty special.
So,
and surprisingly,
yeah,
they're still very, very capable guns with no choke in.
Oh yeah. If you read Burrard on choke, he says true cylinder is absolutely awful unless you use low pressure, light loads, and lots of pellets. These were built for ounce load 7s.
Perfect.
Absolutely perfect. I actually use ounce load 6s in it, and it does a fantastic job. The other interesting thing about this is it is one of the very early rebounding locks that Dixon ever made. So previously, and I'll show you this as well. This is a non-rebounding lock, so it sits forward on the pin. So when you come to open it, you have to come back to half cock before you can open it, take the cartridge out. So that's a 2-stage hammer, a non-rebounding lock plate. Up until Stanton patented the rebounding lock plate, which sits just off the pin, and you have to be pulling the trigger for the hammer to hit the pin. Even if you slip while cocking, you still have to be pulling the trigger for the hammer to hit the pin.
With the benefit of hindsight, it's a really simple idea.
It is
as well.
It is, but it was a leap forward in safety because if you slam this closed with the hammer down, you could get accidental discharges. The way they got around it is because you couldn't open it without.
Yeah, so you always had to
come back to half cock. This, however, even though it's a rebounding lock, is a 2-stage hammer.
That's fascinating.
And this is odd.
So do we think that is original, how the customer ordered it?
This was a particular order. This was Sir James going into Dixon's in Princess Street and saying, I'd like to take advantage of Mr. Stanton's new lock, but I want the old style 2-stage hammer.
Yeah.
Build it for me.
Just in case. It's not as good as everyone says it is.
Well, I think actually, it's because he was a military man, he was used to military firearms, which were all 2-stage hammers. That is a suggestion that was put to me by somebody who knows quite a bit about this stuff. And I thought, yeah, that probably sounds logical.
Yeah. How old was he when he ordered this?
Do you know what? I don't know. I think he was in his 30s, maybe 40s. I'll have to look him up in the records. But there's a rather splendid portrait of Sir James hanging in the East Lothian Council offices, which I managed to track down. And it's such a... He's got a very... Yeah, the portrait is almost that Napoleonic one of the rearing charger, him sitting astride it in military uniform, and it's quite something.
Not a bad selfie.
It's not a bad selfie, yeah. So it's a beautiful thing, and it's a lovely thing to own and use. And it's in completely original condition.
It's a very special gun.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a very special gun.
So, next on the list is another Scottish gun.
I really think this is beautiful.
It is, in its own way. It's a different gun to the Dixon. This is Gow of Dundee, but my little Scottish gun collection is building. This is number 2 entry on the list. And as you know, this has nice touches to it. So this is a second pattern. This is a Jones underlever, but it's the second pattern Jones underlever, which half snaps shut, and all you have to do is put your index finger on it.
Significantly faster cycling.
Yeah, and they went out of fashion quite quickly because people were complaining that they got their fingers trapped when they closed the gun I quite like it because you remember to put your finger out the way.
Well, yeah, unless you've been using a rotary underlever for 6 years at that point.
And got used to it the old-fashioned way. But yeah, so it's just a very nicely made. It's not overtly, it's nicely engraved. It's not highest quality engraving. The engraving quality on that one is far higher on the Dixon. But it's still a very good quality Scottish hammer gun.
And the rounded bar.
There we go.
Oof,
That's the thing. That is the thing that makes even jaded gunroom types go a little bit misty-eyed.
It is just nice.
Because the work that's gone into making that look how it is, just the filing that's gone into it, because you can see the lock plate is rounded off with it. It's just...
It's very special.
It's a lovely thing. It's recent to me, and I shot pheasants with it, and partridges with it, and the back end of this season with my son loading for me. That's great fun.
It's a very special experience, I presume, shooting something that old.
Yeah, I did have my father wipe my eye at one point, which he has only mentioned a couple of times on that particular drive.
Is your father into vintage guns as well, or is he
No, he's not. Man? No, he shoots an over and under.
I respect him.
There you go. He used to shoot side by side, but he went to over and under fairly quickly, and that's what he prefers. So, yeah, but this is, it's just, again, a very nicely made. It's unrestored. It's still rough in places, but the quality screams at you.
I like that comment on restoration, that it is only original once. Yeah. Is there at any point that you would consider restoring a gun? Other than the first gun that you restored?
It very much horses for courses. That 16 ball was a complete wreck. That was unshootable. It would have gone in the bin had it not had some effort made.
And once you've started, you might as well
go
for it.
Yeah. It was sleeved from Damascus to steel tubes. So the chambers are still Damascus, but it's blacked. So it's what it is now. It's a usable gun, but it's in no way original condition.
Better to restore to save when it gets to that point.
I think so. Yeah, this is still shootable. These two are still shootable. I wouldn't rebrown the barrels. I would rather, if I was going to go for it, there's one gunsmith who does a really nice grey finish to Damascus, which I think is just lovely.
Very nice.
And his name's just gone out of my brain, but I'll look him up. And I think I might let him loose on those barrels, just to see, almost as an experiment to see whether the Dixon would benefit from it. But I'm loath to touch that.
Well, grey isn't a full restoration either.
No, it's not.
So it's fair. And
no, it's not.
I think we could both agree there's a lot of bad browning.
There is, yeah, and that is not what I want. I do not want that horrible pink finish. I really don't. I don't like it in any way, shape or form.
It should be dark, and it should be contrasty and not too thick. It's a look, isn't it?
It is.
It's hard to...
I know what I'm after.
Yeah.
Very few people can do what I want.
Yeah.
So when you find the guy who can do it, I kind of latch onto them, grab them with both hands, pay them promptly. The other thing that I might consider doing on the Dixon would be to refinish that stock, which underneath all of those dents
is an unbelievable piece of wood for a gun of the age. Yeah.
Wood. And I don't...
But the man who has a self-portrait of him on a rearing Charger does not go for grade 1 basic wood.
No, he doesn't. No, he really doesn't. But that's the only thing I would do to the Dixon, to be honest with you. And there's quite a bit of oil congealed in the head, which will have an effect on the strength there. I might get that taken out and just to increase the longevity of the gun.
Sympathetic would...
Sympathetically done, yeah. I would never recut the checkering because I hate refinish checkering. I'd hate it with a passion. So I'd rather have that smooth, worn down over years of blood and grime and dust and dirt.
And Simon doesn't shoot in the rain, so he doesn't need the grip.
I'm a fair weather shooter, is that what you're saying? Okay.
No, of course not. I've seen on Instagram you went out in the wind this one time.
I did, yes. Teeth of a gale. God, that was a good night. That was the 525. Great tool for the job. It was fantastic. So yeah, these are the two Scottish hammer guns.
Are you looking for more?
Always. But you have to tick a few boxes to get into my cabinet. One, it has to fulfil a niche. Two, it has to be of a certain quality and have a certain charm.
3 has got to be basically dead.
Well, that's how Chris in the gunroom put it to me when I phoned him up from a collection run in Scotland looking at a very early McNaughton hammer gun. I said, I've got something in front of me that I really, really like, and I'm just not sure what the value is. And he said, do you really like it because it's old, dented, bulged, and basically knackered? And I went, well, yeah. My kind of gun. It's had a working life, you know. It's showing its age, showing its scars. That's what we're...
Not that you wouldn't like it if it was mint.
Oh, mint's great.
But it also puts it into a different sort of bracket. A 150-year-old gun that's mint you don't want to shoot.
No, exactly. That is something you just look at. But restored, overly gaudy, shined, polished.
No.
No, thank you. No, would never. Although that Riley has had its action polished at some point in its life, but the engraving is still there and it's got charm. So yeah, it has to have a certain amount of charm. It has to be the right price. Because
that's what it usually boils down to, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What would be the one gun that you would stretch yourself for?
Don't. That's like saying which is your favourite child.
No, but there's got to be. There's got to be something that you know in the bottom of your heart that if you bumped into it, you go, I will find the money. A dream gun.
It was always a Dixon hammer gun for me.
Oh, well, you already,
and I found
you're there.
I'm there already. Sorry, box ticked. So I feel very fortunate that has come to me.
A very special thing in that case.
Yeah. So I don't think. I mean, there are other things that I would dearly love to have. You know, a really nice McNaughton skeletal action. That would be nice. But they are beyond my budget.
It surprises me that you like them that much.
I do. It's just that particular design is interesting, but you know, it's not,
and they're very
not
nice.
yet in my cabinet.
Just you need to scratch the itch.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, thank you very much for taking you.
It's been a pleasure. It's as I say, it's like somebody going through, you know, your bins. You know, what are they going to find? But yes, it's a pleasure to talk about these things because, yeah, this is why we go to work in the gun trade.
Yeah, is when you, especially yourself, where you're surrounded by beauty every day and some of the best guns. It's always interesting to know what you would pick.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think this is probably my favourite of the lot.
Really, the Gao?
There is something about
it, isn't it? You can see what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you see round actions now or round body over and unders, and they just don't have this level of class.
No, they don't. You're right.
There is something about it that is just well composed.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I love the drop points as well. It's nice.
Yeah.
But hey.
Always a pleasure.
Always. We can go shoot it sometime.
Yeah, why not?
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Mate, thank you very much. This has been a real pleasure.
And for me too, strangely.
And now it's going to be real easy because every time you get a new gun, we can just do a video on it.
Okay.
Simon bought another gun.
Oh, here we go.
And at the rate you're buying it at the moment, that'll probably be...
It's got to stop.
So you are on a bit of a bender.
No.
This last year has been vicious.
Yeah, it's been, brutal. I'm going to need a new cabinet soon.